somewhat. I'm going to take a prompt from something that Mr. Wurzel said. Is there potential here for some kind of hybrid or points of view? For instance, Mr. Wurzel talked about the possibility of having retention elections in cases where there is no contesting candidate. Would the Merit Commission potentially, the information that they come up with, be useful in a contested election? And I'll let you guys answer.
That was the first time I've heard Mr. Ursel say that, which I think is great, and I think really distinguishes how much we actually have in common more than we disagree on this issue. And the fact is, that means Mr. Ursel is actually with us and agrees with us on retention elections 93% of the time. I mean, that's the truth. He's 93% with us. That is a solid 8 in some schools. So I'm really impressed, and I'm happy to have that. And I'll just backtrack a little bit to Chris's point. You can't have your cake and eat it too on Iowa. Okay, retention elections worked. People voted them out, and we're not saying you can't spend big money. That's the other thing. They should have to go out and address that. There should be vote no campaigns. People, we're not. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects freedom of speech. It protects the campaign contributions, and the White decision reaffirms it. There is nothing wrong with that. Our proposal is not trying to take that away from the voters by any stretch of the imagination. It would be great if we were having 100% contested elections in the state, but we're not. If two people were really sitting across the table, or more than two, and having this dialogue and all that kind of stuff, and giving voters the choice, but we're not. Only 7% of the time this is happening in the state of Minnesota, and that's not good enough. The people deserve a chance. And when I watch these videos, people like Leah, and Paul, they want to have the opportunity to get rid of a judge. They have no opportunity 93% of the time, none whatsoever, to get rid of a judge. That's the difference between contested elections as they're set up now in Minnesota versus retention elections. Every time they walk into that ballot box, if they have an issue, you're fired. They can have their Donald Trump moment and do it that way.
I don't think it's easy to smooth over the differences here. Either you're for this idea that the government has a subjective view of things and plans our lives, or you're opposed to it. Either you're for more power for the people electing their officials who represent their interests, or you're against it. And so the retention people are for governor's appointments, and then the people who vote not to retain them are for government appointments. The most satisfying judicial elections in Minnesota the last several years have been those where the judge has fulfilled his or her term, and then the seat has been open. Because when the people elect the judge in the first instance, we know whose rationality and whose justice is going on to that bench. The rationality and justice of the people is going on the bench. The governors have failed in their appointments in Minnesota, and now we need to fix it. And this is the way to do it. The way to do it is to make these elections more robust, strip the governor's power of appointment, or at least make it subject to legislative confirmation, and work through it that way. Don't go for these half solutions. Iowa was not a success because the people weren't able to elect the replacement. Then it would have been the people's rationality and the